The sky over the Moon Province glowed dull red as if warning itself. Smoke rose from the funeral fires of old battles, carried toward the palace of the Golden Lotus throne. People believed the Golden Lotus court was blessed by the gods, but tonight, even blessings felt nervous. From the shadow of the balcony, Minister Kraithong watched the returning army with satisfaction sharpened into fear. He whispered to himself, "Legends are wings, and wings can overturn thrones." The general's legend was louder than the king's heartbeat. General Arun Ratcha rode in without trumpet or announcement because a night return was never celebrated. It was inspected. His eyes scanned the courtyard, lanterns trembling as he dismounted. Even his horse sensed the danger before he did. At the barracks gate, a messenger stood in black, face unreadable, bowing. He carried no scroll. He carried no seal, only a command. "The king summons. Alone. Now." Arun placed a hand on his sword, not to draw it, but to assure himself it was still there. He walked. Inside the council chamber, silence thudded before words did. King Neera Canal, bent with time but not entirely broken, waited upon the lotus-carved dais. The room was empty except for the ancestor statues, but the statue eyes gleamed strangely, like hidden watchers behind stone. Arun knelt, but his knees barely bent, because tonight kneeling did not feel like honor. It felt like surrender. The king spoke 3 words that would cut slower than swords. "Your glory leaks into my shadow." Arun tried to reply, but the walls opened first. Chains fell from above. Iron clamped his wrists and shoulders. His sword hit the floor. The king turned away, not because he hated him, but because he feared looking too long into the face of innocence. "Take him," the king whispered. The guards dragged their own shield into a dungeon beneath the palace. At the same hour, Arun's estate, the House of Twin Lanterns, was raided not with doubt, but decree. His wife Maliwan stood beneath unlit lanterns, their oil shimmering like a prophecy. The soldiers burst in, wearing the king's crest but following the minister's leash. Maliwan grabbed a staff and fought, silence in her grief turning into storm in her movements. A blade struck Suryan, their son, slicing his shoulder. He saw his mother fall. His ears rang with her last command, "Run, waterway, no backward breath." He fled toward the Neera Canal, where the current saved him only because the assassins assumed it would kill him. The river carried him into the deeper forest, where death did not find him, but something colder than death did. The secret order of the Golden Garuda Clan. Years passed beneath the forest roof, but years were only measured in the sharpening of his wounds. Kiet the Silent Hook, leader of the Golden Garuda, trained him harder than hate could exhaust him. Suryan learned twin swords, bow combat, bribe language of courts, river infiltration, and the patience of timing. Kiet told him clearly, "If ink killed your family, ink will expose their bodies." Suryan waited, studied, bled, and did not laugh once in those years, not because he lacked humor, but because festivity felt like memory's enemy. He returned at 25 wearing plain robes, entering the palace as Suri Fra, an archive scribe. In the archive room, scrolls were tall and shadows were longer. He copied ledger after ledger, noting every theft gap quietly. No one recognized the scholar with war in his bones. The Festival of Lights began, lush banners fluttering, fragrant incense rising, musicians playing bright court tunes. The courtyard was packed. King Neera stepped out beside Kraithong. The declaration of a decade of prosperity was ready to be recited. Suryan stepped onto a low stone lip. "Your Majesty," he shouted, scroll raised high. The herald tried to silence him, but curiosity wins where fear gets bored. Suryan knelt before the dais and offered the scroll. The king snatched it. The king unrolled it. It was his own decree naming Arun Ratcha traitor and exterminating his house. Then came the proof packet slapped onto the rail by a disguised Golden Garuda agent. Neera opened it. Inside, temple donation of 300 sacks of rice. Royal ledger received only 50. Manifest, 250 sacks delivered to a merchant consortium signed with the threefold knot of Kraithong. "Explain this," the king said slowly to Kraithong. Kraithong laughed sharply, but sweat betrayed him. "Forgery," he insisted. "The liars always claim forgery when the seals are real." Neera snapped. "Original seals, yours too." Kraithong's final foolish defense tore. "I ensured grain safety while you hesitated." And then he lunged at the king with a ceremonial blade drawn from his sleeve. Suryan moved like wind that waits for storms. He slammed into Kraithong, knocking his slash wide. The tip grazed the king's cheek. Suryan twisted Kraithong's wrist and drove him to his knees. His dagger dropped to the older man's throat. Everyone held their breath. Up on the balcony, destiny balanced on a knife. Knife-sharp silence. Suryan stared at the closing throat of the minister, towering rage but controlled. "Death is quick. You don't deserve quick," he said, pulling back, offering a cold mercy that hurt far more than a blade ever could. Neera exhaled, staggered relief, ashamed. The king turned to the crowd, rage unleashed. "Kraithong is no minister of mine!" The crowd erupted like shaken thunder, but thunder was not the suspense. The suspense was whether justice would hold or crack. Neera turned to Suryan, cheek bleeding, broken pride, but his voice carried weight. "Your father was loyal," he declared. "Carve it in your own voice," Suryan demanded. Slowly, the king nodded, stepping to the rail. "People of Sukhodaya!" he shouted with raw conviction. "General Arun Ratcha was loyal. I let envy stain his name and kill him. From this day, his honor is restored." A sky-wide pause. Then the answer came not as applause, but as a rising, sharp chant. "Arun Ratcha! Arun Ratcha!" Suryan closed his eyes, painful healing stirring beside the dark, sliding river. The king's voice, softer now, pleaded, "Stay. Help me repair this. Let your father's house stand again." Suryan looked past walls, thinking deeply. "I help truth. I leave before comfort steals my anger." The king bowed his head, solemn. "Then what are you?" Suryan lifted his face to the red sky glowing with festival lanterns, resolved. "A scar, a warning. The sun the river spared, the general you chained wrongly. I am Suryan Arunson. If any tongue twists truth again, I will stand before the lie hardens." Thousands shivered in awe, tension rippling as they nodded, and he walked away as lantern flames steadied. For sometimes the most suspenseful ending is not death, but a vow left breathing in the open.